Day 1, February 2014, South Haven Point to Worth Matravers, Dorset. The winter storms in January and February 2014 were considered to be the worst in over 20 years. Strong winds, huge waves and extreme flooding problems, especially in the southwest, made for major transport disruption and unprecedented conditions. It was on one such windy, rainy winter's day that I began the long walk home. A roughly 700-mile walk from the start of the Southwest Coast Path at South Haven Point near Poole in Dorset, past the official coast path finish in Minehead and onto my home in Burnham-on-Sea, Somerset. Over the next 3 years, with day trips and short stays away, the plan was to walk the whole of the coast path in about 50 separate day walks, mostly walking alone but occasionally sharing the experience with friends. My wife Sharon shared and facilitated the experience, taking the car after each day's start and being at a pre-arranged pickup point after the day's walk. How lucky am I? No need to plan my journeys around bus and train timetables. We began with a difficult car journey across Somerset and Dorset. Sharon, myself and our dear friend Helen, who was to accompany me on the first 2 sections. Lashing rain, gale-force winds and many flooded roads made for a long trip to the start point, and me questioning the wisdom of starting the endeavour on such a day. We eventually made it to the road that borders Studland beach and leads to the ferry over to Poole. Once we'd pulled into the car park, Helen and I rushed over to a convenient bus shelter to change into walking boots in appropriate clothing. I say appropriate clothing, and obviously I believe myself to be well prepared with good walking socks and boots. Helen also sensibly had waterproof trousers and raincoat. I, on the other hand, only had my cotton rain jacket, and this proved to be utterly insufficient for the journey ahead. First lesson learned: equip oneself with suitable clothing for whatever the weather may decide to throw at you. Sharon left, and after we had agreed a time and a place to rendezvous, we began the day's walk to Worth Matravers, over 15 miles and 6 hours ahead of us. With heads down and buffeted by the extreme elements, we didn't even see the official marker for the start of the Southwest Coast Path as we headed off into the unknown. Notwithstanding the weather, this was a good day's hike along a deserted naturist beach that even the most hardy and dedicated nudists would not brave, and through puddles that were deep enough to swim. We even had time for a refreshing cup of tea and a seafront cafe in Swanage. The short winter's day was barely sufficient for the 15 miles we needed to cover, and I was concerned because the light was failing by mid-afternoon. Our pace increased through the encroaching dark, and we just made it to the warmth of the square and compass in Worth Matravers whilst we could still see where we were going. A nice cold pint of local cider seemed to magically ease the tired and aching feet, and then our ever-reliable lift took us back to the Black Bear a few miles away in Wareham. As the wet clothes and boots dried on the radiators, we all enjoyed a good meal and a good night's sleep, ready for the next day's walk.